Okay, here we go. I think, considering the considerable amount of pitting we were dealing with, I think everything came out pretty good. Like I mentioned, the font, I went with that sort of a satin look rather than a mirrored finish, because this way the remaining pits, are negligible. You really can't see them. All the other surfaces that showed, I did my best to buff out the pits. Now on the rests for the burners, I don't know if you can see these striations. That's the punch mark from when they made it. The pitting was pretty deep in there. I tried to knock off as much as I could on this side of the pit, so you get a good, a nice shiny look from the outside. The inside, I did a little bit on the pits, but I wasn't so worried about that since your burners are there and that doesn't show. And I didn't want to grind this down and make this so thin it might not be safe. But I plated it so it's rust proof. The other parts that don't show, I plated, but once again didn't go crazy over the pits. The stands, those, since it was solid steel, I was able to grind that down quite a bit and got a good bright shiny finish on that. The pump cap we talked about plating or brass. And just looking at the whole thing, I thought that's got to be brass. It's got to be brass. Plating just wouldn't do it. Now, I have a confession to make. I asked about what did you send me on this fuel cap, because I thought I saw a thumb screw and I couldn't find one. Your thumb screw went astray somewhere in the shop. But what I did was I went through my box of parts and I found a thumb screw that fit in that hole. I wasn't sure what the thread pattern was on the interior piece that you had, so I got an interior piece that matches the thumb screw, so it'll seal up. We'll be okay on that. So there we go. I think this came out pretty well. All things considered, I think it came out really well. If the thumb screw does show up in the shop, I'll buff it up and send that out to you too. But I'm kind of thinking, I had my grandson take some cardboard boxes out, and he didn't. I asked him, I said, "Did you look checking those boxes?" He said, "No." So Lord knows where your thumb screw is. I'm hoping it's like under a cabinet or something somewhere. If I find it, I'll send it to you. But otherwise, this will work. It'll seal up and hold pressure. So there we go. I appreciate the chance to work on this project. As I said, I was really intrigued by their setup on this. I liked it so much that, I think I told you, I adapted it to a lantern. I had to put the arms out a little further because I wasn't sure how much heat effect would have on the font. But anyway, so that's it. Your project is done. I'm going to wrap it up and I'll ship that out to you. And again, I appreciate your letting me do it. Thanks. Bye.